problem of stock estimation. I want to make some napkin rings by wrapping them round this steel tube, which I've welded to the piece of angle iron, and I've made a stop so that when I put the work through there, it holds it while I bend it round. The question is, how much stock do I need to make one complete wrap around this and also leave the finials overlapping? Now you could use pi r squared, sorry, 2 pi r, to find out the distance round there. I've tried doing that before. Either my maths isn't up to it or whatever, it doesn't work. Anyway, there is an answer, and that is child's modelling clay. I used to know this as plasticine when I was young, and having been to my local shop and bought some of this, I don't know whether it's because I was young, but I've just seen a shrew run across the floor over there. These are smaller than I remember and shorter than I remember, and in a very cunning piece of packaging, when I open the packet, it hardly takes, well, just over half, isn't it? Just enough to cover the display area. Very cunning. 99p, which is a penny short of a British pound. Still, there we go. So I've taken one strip of this stuff and I've folded it over and moulded it until I've achieved a sausage 6mm diameter, which is the size of the stock I want to use. And then, as if I was forging it in steel, I've made a finial on the end, on the one end. Now I shall taper. Now I measured the taper. I shall taper the other end as if I was working in steel. Then measure the length of the taper and make a note, because no, it's not good, is it? I'll do it again. I shall measure the length of the taper so that I know how long that's got to be. Then I'll make my second finial on that end. Just as hard as if you're doing it in metal. And then I've got my two ends. Okay, the finials aren't even, and that looks like it's about to snap there. Don't know why that would be. Little fault in the plasticine somewhere. Okay, so now I get my wrap, and as if I was using real steel, hop, yay! And I get my wrap, as if I was using real steel, put the finial there, send it round, and that is where I will end up. Now, do I find that acceptable? Yes, I do. That's okay, that is, I'm alright with that. So now what I do is I measure. Of course I measure the overall length before we started, obviously. I shall measure this central section, which turns out to be between the transition points between the 6mm and the taper. It's 130mm. So my original measurement was 150mm. So I now know that that will fit around my form, a little bit left over to form a nice neat napkin ring. And that's how you do it. Simple.